Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry I missed a week, but you can attest, probably, if you're a fan, that nothing happened the week of New Year's, right? Yeah, because I did an episode after Christmas and nothing happened the week of New Year's. So I didn't want to just get on here and blab, although that's what I'm going to do today. Although there's more action, there's more things to talk about, but I didn't want to just blab. Also, I'm going to start out with a funny because I can. So, okay, I don't dabble enough in the Rays Facebook fan pages. Here and there. And it's like a different demographic, obviously. Facebook versus Twitter, the whole shebang. I get it. I get it. But, we're all part of the same fandom. And I actually, in 2026, want to make that more of like my angle on things is being a fan's fan, like thinking about the average fan, what they would want to know and what would be beneficial for them, things like that. So, anyway, all of that to say, I was getting my nails done, treating myself, which I honestly don't do very often. It felt amazing, but I had time to kill while I was waiting. And some man, I won't put him on blast, but he asked in the fan page, how will we be able to watch the Rays this year with no FanDuel? And matter of fact, the answer is we don't know. We just know that they'll be broadcasted. Like there are things that need to be solved. I can talk about that. I actually plan on talking about that. So anyway, I was like, he posted it less than a minute. So I'm like, let me do a good deed. I said, undetermined as of now, but they will still be broadcasted. Like, rest assured, we'll still see the game. And he responds to me and he says who? You, sir? Sir. I don't think you're familiar with my game, but no, really. So I just said MLB because literally the commissioner is like, we'll figure this out. Like, you'll be able to watch your team. It would be the craziest thing if you weren't. Anyway, I said that, and then I decided to post what I consider a cringeworthy post on that Facebook page, which was approved by admins. So thank you to the admins. Kind of explaining who I am because, like I said, my presence is more on Twitter. You probably know me from Twitter. You probably don't know me from Facebook. So anyway, I just explained who I am. I mostly, pinned it on the fact that I'm a part of the MLB's fan council and kind of what that means and how I hope to contribute in this upcoming season. But yeah, I just thought that was so interesting. Like, why are we being so mean? Well, it wasn't really mean, but it just caught me off guard and made me laugh. So, anywho, without further ado, let's get into what sort of happened this week. Got a Diet Coke, so I am truly, truly unstoppable. Also, before we really launch, I got this. It's green, you can't really tell, but I have light on me too. The window, a light, and you still can't really tell it's green. This is green. Anyway, it's the dark, old Double Rays green, but I think it's super sick. Okay, here's my pitch. This this I want back on the Rays Road Grays. Now, it could be a different script or whatever, but the Tampa Bay, I am such a sucker for Tampa Bay, and I just don't feel like yes, we have it on the City Connects. I agree, we do, but I just feel like I think we should bring back the Road Grays. However, to zhuzh them up, can you even hear me? To zhuzh them up, I think we should do Tampa Bay in a script. Just my 2 cents. I've been saying it on Twitter. If anyone's out there. All right. So as always, I have my notes on my handy dandy iPad this time. That's on 9%. So let's get into it. Oop, making the thing shake. Okay. So, excuse me. I'm gonna maybe end the show with my exciting news, and you probably already know my exciting news because I tweeted about it because I was so excited I couldn't sleep. That'll get you. You want to know if you don't already know, but you probably already know. But anywhom, Anyway, okay. So I'm at the bottom of my notes. Let's go to the top of my notes. All right. Some of the first news that broke from our little holiday hiatus, if you will, not of me, but of the team and of the universe. And MLB has been very, very quiet up until last night with Alex Bregman signing with the Chicago Cubs. Good for the Cubs. I will probably get to that in a second. So one of the first stories was that Joe Lapano was hired as a consultant for the Rays, and without any speculation, I feel like it's very obvious on why they hired him as a consultant. He was with TPA for a very, very long time. If they are seriously considering HCC, which I think they are, he brings in a lot of that background knowledge on FAA restrictions, that parcel of land, and what the airport has plans for in the future, and height restrictions, all kinds of things like that. There's Josie. She makes herself known. I can't pet you this whole time. Sorry. Anyway, so this is, to me, a good sign. I am pretty much putting in all my chips for HCC Del Mabry. I know they go by Hillsborough College now. I actually, fun fact, I graduated high school with an associate's degree from HCC, so go Hawks. I'm not trying to... I know some people are upset that it's getting rid of the college. It's getting rid of one of the campuses, yes, but I also think that they're not going to be left high and dry in this situation. Again, I have to realize, and I know, and I'm just saying it out loud, I know that I have a bias about my favorite baseball team. I know. I'm going to see the things through the lens of a fan. That's what I was saying earlier, but I don't feel as if we're really hurting HCC, and I don't think they would sign off on it if it was really detrimental to them. Anyway, so the stadium, I do think that's going to ramp up. Like, they almost have to ramp up in the next month to 2 months. We have to start seeing, hearing movement. Now, there was an article in the Times today is Sunday, that was kind of, I don't want to say negative, because I don't think that they came out and they were like, necessarily it's John Romano. I don't necessarily think he just presented information in a way that kind of took the air out of my bubble or out of my balloon. I do love a good balloon. And I don't know. It's like either someone just needs to come out and say something. I know I keep saying this and I sound like a broken record and I'm so freaking sorry, but like someone just needs to tell us, instead of speculating and taking the negative approach or the middle of the road approach or the positive approach, which I have. At this point, instead of just positioning ourselves to defend why we believe one way or another on what's going to happen, I would just like to see some movement. I would just like to see some talks, an idea. I'm not blaming the Rays necessarily. They're doing a lot of work. They're doing feasibility tests. They're doing stuff. Maybe not currently, as of today, or even in the past, in a position to actually present what I'm talking about. But as a fan base and as people are paying attention to this saga, I think we have hit a standstill on like what we can base our opinion around and our takes on it. So anyway, I thought the article was a little like a bummer in a way. But again, we don't know, like, and a lot of it, like I said, has to deal with what the numbers are, what the figures are, what the divvying up of the situation is. And there was also news about Benchmark International that came out extending their lease and the type of money that they're going to get from the Tampa Sports Authority. And that article read, if you read it or if you didn't and you just saw the headline, they interviewed the one person who voted no against giving Benchmark International this and the Lightning this deal to extend them, and then in terms of like what money they were going to get. Now, I'm not a professional on this. I've learned as I've gone on these last however many years about stadium deals and things like that, and how, you know, the government subsidizes yada yada yada. They interviewed the one person who didn't want to go through with the deal, and the reason why was because they felt that it was going to set a precedent for the Bucks and for the Rays, the Bucks have been, I think, hinting, or not even hinting, straight up saying they need upgrades to Ray J. If you've been to Ray J recently and you've been to another NFL stadium recently, you know that Ray J is just like run of the mill. It's not that great. It needs upgrades. I think it's almost been a decade since they got a new, I mean, the screen is great and nice, but that's been a decade. And that was kind of like an upgrade at the time. So they're kind of, making a push for upgrades of Ray J. The Rays are obviously have are searching, preferably in Hillsborough County. They've made that clear. And so this councilman, or I can't even remember who it was, but they basically were like, I would hate for this whole situation and how we divvied up the money, which was a great deal for the Lightning, to kind of set a precedent. But at the end of the day, that money, that pool of money, there's only so much in it. So even if the Rays or the Bucks said, hey, we want this, if they only have $10 to give you, they only have $10 to give you. Like, they can't just create more money. Now, again, we've went through this whole thing with Pinellas County and how their bed tax system is why they're able to put up so much money, and that's why it makes it a little bit easier, if I can say. Again, we don't know the numbers that the Rays are going to throw out. We don't know, what they're expecting. We do know that they want to make this like what are they calling it? Instead of it just being a standalone stadium, it's going to have an entertainment district and restaurants and all that stuff. And that's what sells it to be a little bit more attractive to the county and to the local government. So, in the city. But again, we don't have figures. We don't have any information. We can only go off the past. We can only go off what happened in Kansas City with the Chiefs. We can only go off all of these other scenarios, maybe as precedent. I don't know. I don't know enough. And I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent on that, but not really, because that's what I had listed. But I think we start to hear more information in the next month, 2 months. Like, we have to. So once we get those details, then I think I can shift my own personal opinion on it, and we can just kind of go from there. But again, I'm choosing not to be doom and gloom. I know that that's what I come on here and say every single episode, but I don't even know enough to be doom and gloom. Okay? Anyway. Okay, so another news. This is all like not baseball related stuff, but it's about the team. So you might have read that the 9 remaining teams who had contracts with FanDuel Sports Network terminated their contracts because the company's not doing so well. Bally wasn't doing well. FanDuel took it on, not doing well. And so it was looming that they're probably going to file for bankruptcy. I think they already did, or they were going to have to do something else. But all of these other teams who are also on this contract said, we got it, like, we're leaving. What do you mean? And it is to my understanding that the Rays are actually the only team who actually got their money. They're not behind on payment in terms of receiving payment from FanDuel. Now, there is some speculation, and I do want to highlight that it's because the Rays have good ratings, which I think is like something we should celebrate more. I was just talking to some friends about how it's silly when people say the Rays don't have fans, because they consistently have good ratings on television, consistently. And here's a case of they're the only team out of the 9 remaining teams who got their pay on time. Just keep that in the back of your mind. That's all I'm saying. Anywho, to the beginning of this episode, when I was talking about the guy saying, like, what will we do? We don't know yet. Don't know where the games are going to be. They can renegotiate a contract with FanDuel. They can hopefully get their blank together and all is well and nothing changes. However, I will tell you that in my meetings with MLB this past year, they have said their goal, I think everything is kind of hinging on like the 2029 season, maybe. I could be wrong. But like, they want to take it over. Eventually, MLB wants to take it over, and I am all for that. And I'm kind of pushing for this to kind of force their hand into just taking it over now. I don't think this means that you lose Dwayne or BA or anything like that. It's just going to be who takes the broadcast and puts it out, MLB TV. I don't know what that looks like financially or anything like that. Now, the only scary thing is, and I don't even want to say scary because I just said they're going to broadcast the games. Like, there's just no way that MLB, with a looming lockout, I'm not saying it's happening, but with all this uncertainty happening, is going to miss out on a third of their broadcasts. MLB has already said we have a backup plan. So all of that to say, there is some question on like how that affects payroll flexibility for the Rays, because obviously if you're counting on money that you don't know if you're going to get, that's not ideal. But like I said, we're not behind on payment and receiving payment. I think this gets resolved relatively quickly. I mean, the season is crazy enough right around the corner. So I don't know that I think this is what determines the payroll flexibility and by how much. I don't think it would be a full, I personally don't think it would be a huge swing either way, but I just think it gets resolved relatively quickly and it's kind of a non-issue. Although I'm probably not the best person to take budgeting advice from, so it's easy for me to say that, but I'm sure they are, aware obviously of like what to do, worst case, best case scenario. But the good thing is this is not race specific. There are 8 other teams, like I'm saying, who are also going through this, and it's something that MLB needs to fix anyway, and hopefully that is just kind of the snowball into fixing it for good. But we shall see. Okay, let's talk a little bit about actual baseball, bat to ball. Okay, so the Rays, speaking of payroll flexibility, payroll idea on payroll, the Rays did reach arbitration or settled arbitration with 9 out of 10 players, which is great. I think what surprised me the most was Pepio was projected. It's all projections. He was closer to like 3.7 and he got 3, I want to say maybe just a little over 3. Josh Lowe got a little bit more than I suspected, but nothing was like startling, if that makes sense. So, the one player that did not, who will be headed to a hearing in February, I believe is the date of arbitration meetings, is Edwin Uceda. And here's my thing. They are off by, I think, maybe just over $300,000. If you don't know, when you go to these pre-arbitration meeting or before you make it to an actual meeting, you submit a number and the team submits a number, and if there's a gap, that's what sends you to arbitration. So the gap that they had, I can't remember the figures. I want to say like it's definitely less than 2 million. Like his salary that he's requesting is less than 2 million. Whatever that gap is about maybe 325. I made up in my head, but it's definitely in the 300,000 range. So they will head to a hearing. And here's my thing. If I'm Edwin, he did struggle the first half of the season last year. That's no surprise. And I'm sure the Rays will roll that clip in arbitration. But you've got a little bit of leverage here. Like you've lost your quote unquote closer. Edwin sometimes stepped into that role or, could see himself in that role. So use your leverage. It's not anything that's going to break the bank. I also saw someone say like, oh, way to piss off, him when we've got rid of Pete, like not very smart. If you think that he's mad that he's going to go fight for a few $100,000, that's not how this works. Like, I'm sure he's more than happy to go to this hearing and figure it out. The Rays kind of have an idea of what they have left to play with in terms of money. So that's good. Payroll clarity will kind of help us narrow down what we can do. Now, the kind of confusing part is if that whole TV situation is going to change the numbers, but I do believe, and let me look, I don't want to be incorrect in my, oh my gosh, that post that I posted on the Facebook, I'm getting traction, which I'm glad, thank you. Anyway, let me check. Okay, so Tompkin had tweeted, or actually no, he posted an article that said that the Rays opening day projection for payroll is in the $85 to $90 million range. Now, I have also heard that because of the TV deal, you might want to shift that down to 80, 85. That still gives them roughly, I think, 10 mil to play with, if you will. Now, we also just learned in the last 24 hours, 48 maybe. Okay, now how do I phrase this? I'm not necessarily upset that we're not getting Ketel Marte, and here's why. I'm more so annoyed with the Arizona Diamondbacks for not knowing what the heck they wanted to do. Now, granted, they did pitch a proposal to the Rays that would send Ketel to us, but they were quite literally asking for the moon. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion, to pay a hefty price in turn for one player that we needed, because then we need more. Just didn't make any sense. Although you see the name, you just start thinking about it and you're like, yeah, do whatever, send whatever. No. So Rays had countered. They were trying to get this deal done. And then Arizona, I had heard that Arizona just like wasn't sure what they wanted to do. Their GM was also being kind of flaky in the winter meetings on like what they were looking for and yada yada yada. And so they recently came out and said, okay, we're not gonna trade Ketel. Which to me, although that isn't a move, like there is no transaction that's being had, it does help move the market, because then you're not waiting, like sitting waiting for a shoe to drop. Okay, they're not trading Ketel. Great, fine. Annoying? Yes. But again, I don't think we were ever going to reach a meeting ground on getting him. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved, because he's about to have no trade clause and yada 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 for being with the team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona does end up moving him, but probably not this offseason, not when we're constructing our team. Anyway, that's a separate story for a different time. The reason I'm not upset is that it was nice to hear at least the Rays were interested in getting him. They were willing to give up some, players, not the moon, which is what Arizona was asking for. But for me, like, at least they weren't sitting on their hands. They were trying to make something happen, and they were willing to take on his contract. While it is team friendly, it still was a decent sized contract for the Rays standard. So that kind of gives me like a little bit of hope on hopefully what they do. Now, what I want to talk about is second base. Okay, Ketel's not coming. In the last episode, I kind of had the depth chart. It had Ryan Vilade listed. It had Richie Palacios listed. I don't know if it had Chandler listed, but that's what I want to talk about. There is some speculation, and I say this because Adam Berry with MLB, who just shout out to the resources I use. I like Adam Berry. He's not as, he does maybe like once a week, I would say, while Topper is definitely a beat reporter and is on every little thing, his Rays rumblings and things. But they're good to kind of bounce off each other because they're in the know, right? They have scoops, right? I love saying Tay scoops or whatever, but they have legitimate scoops. He had even thrown around in one of his recent articles from either this week or last week, thrown around Chandler Simpson. And I am bringing this up to you because I just feel like I personally need to get on board with it possibly happening. Chandler has played second base. He played in college, I believe. Now, I have seen some comments saying like, well, he's really fast. Wouldn't you want him in the outfield? Sure. Yeah, that's a good argument, of course. But with all due respect to Mr. Simpson, he's also got a noodle arm. Okay? So, hopefully you catch the ball. Hopefully, you get to a fly ball. But if you don't, I do see some of his weaknesses is his arm. He will still have good range at second base. We could disguise his noodle arm respectfully at second base. Ideally, is that what I want? No. But if it has to happen, I personally am trying to come to terms with it and just be okay with it. Keep Richie as your utility guy. I also worry about Richie's knee, so like banking on him being the everyday second baseman, I don't know. And I also feel like Ryan Vilade, I have joked, I am on the Ryan Vilade fan club train, bandwagon. I don't even think it's a bandwagon because it's so new. If anything, I'm an OG Ryan Vilade fan at this point. But I don't know I don't know what his plans are. Like maybe he is your left fielder if Chandler moves to second. That's just something for you to sit with, because also in saying that, they do have a little bit of money left. They have a little bit of money left. So I'm not going to write off them not making another move. I also wouldn't be surprised if they move some outfielders as well. We still have a plethora. At this point, I'm really sorry to say it because I kind of just had accepted it. But, oh, I didn't even talk about Justin Malloy. What's his middle name? Hunter. Justin Hunter Malloy. Is that it? I didn't even talk about him, which I'm kind of excited to see him. I think he will be fun to watch. Again, another outfielder. So I have to think that they are going to work some kind of deal with that, moving some pieces out there. Like I was saying before I got distracted, Jake Fraley, really trying to understand that at this point. $3 million. I got to figure that out. We're kind of in this space right now where I feel like it was nice to hear about Ketel. Honestly, it was nice to hear about Bregman. He's out of the American League East. He's no longer with the Red Sox, which if you're complaining about the Rays and like, what are they doing? What are the Red Sox doing? Okay, if you remember, Rafael Devers was pissed that they signed Alex Bregman. Then he had the whole not going to play whole thing. They had a falling out. They didn't like each other on the team. So they trade away Rafael. Okay. And because of this like conflict, within the same season, well, it's the end of the season, they don't re-sign Bregman. He's now a Cub. Crazy. Okay. Crazy contract. And maybe that's why. Like 35 a year for 5 years. Like, I think it's quite an overpay. But Cubs have money. Like, they act like they don't have money. They have money. But, so now what? Red Sox. Now, granted, maybe they're making a move. Maybe they're making a big move. There are still all the big free agents pretty much still out there. I think the Ketel thing, I think Bregman signing with the Cubs, like this, I'm hoping a domino at least has chipped the next one where it's like tilting, and hopefully we get like just movement across the board. But as of right now, very questionable on what's going on with the Boston Red Sox. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, yes I do. Bregman. Cubs. What do they do with Matt Shaw, the Cubs? What do they do with Matt Shaw? Well, if you're asking me, they move him to second base and they send me Nico. That's what I want. My attention is now on that. I don't have any trade proposals for you. I don't know what it's going to take, but I would really love, and I've heard that the Cubs were willing to trade Nico if they were able to land Bregman. Well, you did. And I think his contract fits in within the realm of what I need. So that's what I want. That's just my pipe dream. I have to have something to kind of look forward to. Now, I will tell you, I have some friends that are like, oh, I hope they fix the catchers. I don't know if I've already said this in the past. And my dad even brought up brought up some catchers. Like, oh, what about this guy? It is my belief, and I'm probably not the only one, but the Rays at some point I don't want to say stake a claim, but they have to just bank on who they've traded for. They traded for Nick Fortes. They had an even bigger trade to secure Hunter Fiducia from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they have Dom Keegan in the wings. At some point, especially if you're going to have holes elsewhere, you're going to have to just lock in. And I think that they are. I don't think that they're toying with it back and forth. I very much I think that the Rays do like their catching staff. Now, we maybe as fans don't, but they see something in Fetty. They see something in Nick, and obviously Dom Keegan has been, a talk for a while now. So I just don't think they touched the catching situation. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think they move a little bit. They shuffle the outfield, which I keep saying. I just don't know how they're going to do it. They sign Justin Hunter Malloy from the Tigers, which I'm very excited to see him. I feel like he's one of those guys that the Rays see something in. Truly. Now, they also picked up, a second baseman and middle infielder from the Pirates. There are just certain players to me that I'm like, okay. Like, oh, okay. That's one that I'm going to just need a moment with. They're clearly like trying to have these backup plans, but I don't think they're done. I know Eric yesterday, I have a quote saved somewhere. Let me see. Eric said yesterday, wow, I have a lot of photos. All right. here's what I'll leave you with. Oh, well, not really. I have more things to say. But also, I want to say as well, you know how like the Pirates have been making moves? They obviously got B-Law from us. The Marlins have been making good moves. The Rockies made a move yesterday. I thought this was interesting from Topkin's article. There are whispers around MLB that some typically low payroll teams that receive revenue sharing are making a point to spend more on payroll now to avoid conflicts with the players' union and potential grievances in advance of what are expected to be contentious labor negotiations. Because that lockout might happen. Now, I keep using this as a reference to my dad, but obviously they know the CBA's up after the 2026 season. Manfred tried to get ahead of this whole contentiousness, and he went into the Phillies locker room early into the season last season, and Bryce Harper told him to get the F out. So, not only is baseball going to be baseball and interesting, but it's going to be very interesting. Anyway, the comment from Eric before I move on to my own personal, I almost said problems, they're not problems, my own personal information. Eric said Thursday night, so 2 days ago, that they are not necessarily done nor backing down. Quote, I'd say where we are is that it's January 8th, which was Thursday. Without any expectation setting, we're always active, we're always having conversations. There's ways we can improve now, there's ways we can improve later. We have a lot of room for improvement with our roster, for myself. We continue to have conversations with free agents, with other clubs, and keep an eye out for things that make sense. I believe him. We're not done. You open up the 40-man right now, that's not who you're going to see in a couple of weeks. Now, speaking of a couple of weeks, I think I have my phone on 31 days until pitchers and catchers report. Okay. Which is very exciting. WBC is going to kind of throw me off on like the scheduling of things, but I will tell you, and I did the math and it's off the record, not really. It's the only day that it would be. FanFest will probably be on February 14th. Yes, Valentine's Day tracks for me. I already made that joke on Twitter. It's going to be on Saturday, February 14th. So typically it's in between when pitchers and catchers report and full squad workout. So that week, pitchers and catchers report. The weekend is FanFest, and then the following week, full squad workouts, which are my favorite thing in the world. Top 10 for me. I love the first day of full squad workouts. However, I do know where it is, and all I will tell you is that it's not going to be at the pier, and it's going to be close to the Trop. So more details are going to come out about that. Obviously, they're going to probably announce that very, very soon. I'm so freaking excited about just like actual events happening. We're kind of close. We're a month until pitchers and catchers report. So like I said, there's a fuzzy. It was like very stalemate, very, very stalemate. And to a degree, it still is. But I kind of feel like if you've ever been if you've ever been on Shikra, you know, when it like tips, that's my favorite part. And then it goes, that's kind of where I feel like we are. We'll see. Okay, couple of things you can totally turn off now if you don't personally care about, I don't know, my excitement for things. Okay, 2 things. I got a vlogging style camera, okay? Again, when I said I posted a cringy post on the Facebook page, I've said this on TikTok, I have to embrace the cringe, okay? It is cringy to vlog yourself. It is cringy to make TikToks of yourself. It's cringy to sit in front of this and do this, but hey, life is too short for me not to spend 36 minutes and 8 seconds talking about my favorite baseball team. That is just my motto this year. I keep using it. Why would I keep that from myself? Okay? Even if one person listens to it, and it's probably my mom, because my dad's busy. My mom's going to be mad because she's watching. 2 people. If it's 2 people and Josie, who has to listen to me live record this, at least I get it off my chest, you know? However, I did get the vlogging camera, okay? And it was a pretty penny. It's a very pretty penny of mine to get it. So my goal is to take it with me to spring training. I'm hopefully, okay, guys, don't be mad at me, but I don't want to go to Port Charlotte more than once this season. I'm so sorry. But if it weren't for my excitement and love for the Rays, that drive would be 16 times more painful. Even on a good day, even when there isn't traffic, but there always is. That's a safe always. I think I'm going to head down there once and then try to catch as many as I can up here. I mean, you've got Dunedin, you've got Clearwater, you've got Tampa. Roll my eyes. With Steinbrenner and the Yankees. Yeah, I'm only going to do one. And, I want you to go, but they have good turnouts, all the retirees and things like that. So it's like, you should go if you haven't been. If you like to drive, definitely go. But I'm only going once this year because I can't do it. But anyway, I'm going to take the vlogging camera with me a little bit more and kind of do, I don't know what I'd even call it. Like day in the life sounds weird. That's like a very YouTube-y thing. It'll obviously be on YouTube, but I don't know. I don't know what it's still very new. I'm just now getting used to using the camera, although I've taken 100 selfies of myself, which you can hate on that. I'm sure there are people who do, but yeah, I'm super excited about that, which leads me to the next thing that I'm the most excited about. Shout out to my father and my mom, because without them, these things don't happen. So about when I pitched the All-Star game to my dad, I'm pretty sure I wrote up an email that was like, here are the details. I'm the person who makes the itinerary in my friend group. I'm like that person. So I did the same thing for opening day in St. Louis. I wrote up a little bit of a pitch, transportation, lodging, the game. About a month or two ago, I'm not really sure. I never did hear back. However, I was talking to a friend who I was like, oh, I'm really hoping that I'll be able to go to St. Louis for opening day. They were like, oh, did you know that the Budweiser Clydesdale horses, which I love. You grow up loving those commercials. You love it, love it. They run around the perimeter of the field on opening day, and it's like such a big spectacle. And I've learned that everywhere else does opening day so big. Not that we don't, but everywhere else does opening day so big, but it's because they're centralized and things like that. Anyway, so I had sent my dad a follow-up gif of the Clydesdale horses running. Didn't hear anything, which is fine. I'm working. He's working. I'm supposed to be working. I'm sending him gifts of the Clydesdale horses. And randomly, I get 3 emails of a flight, a room, and tickets to opening day in St. Louis. So my dad and I will be going up to St. Louis for opening day, since the Rays do start on the road, which is unusual, as you guys know. So I'm super stoked. It's going to be freezing. And I know some people have tried to tell me that oh, you're going to be so miserable. I don't care. I don't get to wear a bunch of jackets and sweaters and things like that, especially at a baseball game, especially after I just sweat my bosom off at Steinbrenner. So sure, great. I'll be cold. My dad loves the cold, so he doesn't care. But I'm just so excited. We have really good seats. He picked them out. Really good seats behind the Rays dugout. I'm super duper excited. I'll bring the camera along. I'm excited to try Missouri barbecue. I'm excited to see their stadium, the arch, all the things. So I will be going, and then we come back after, we're only going for opening day because they don't play Friday, so we fly back on Friday. Then the Rays, after they go on 3 little road trips, or 3 series, on Monday, April 6th, we will also be at the Trop, which we did get those tickets a while ago. So I'm just very excited. Okay, I like going to away games, and my dad, of course, is like, oh, just another stadium we can cross off the list. I'm like, sure is. So I'm debating on buying a coat, a Rays jacket. It's funny. I was looking up Rays jackets, and a lot of them are not heavy duty, not obviously Therma. That there used to be the Therma is the name of the inside of it, and from Nike. And there's not a lot of options, especially in the Bay Republic, right? So I started searching other places as well. And all I can see in these jackets, and it could be because I was on eBay. I'm turning into an eBayer, especially when it comes to like vintage and older Rays apparel, baseball apparel. But all I can see in these Therma Rays jackets is like flashbacks to 2008 when they played in what I will consider a blizzard in Philadelphia, which is not fair. Not right. Not right and not fair. Just kidding. Long as my grievance gone with that. But it's just funny that I'm like, why do these jackets look so familiar? Because they're not selling them really, like they're not new arrivals on the website or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, because that's what they wore when they had to go up to Philly, were these like pretty hefty jackets. I might have to look into getting myself one. You know, it's going to be like 30, 40. I'm a Floridian. I do like the cold, but like, mind your business. If you think I'm too bundled up, mind your business, okay? We'll see. Maybe it could be. Listen, my dad and I went to Pittsburgh. Granted, it was June or July of 2024. We went to Pittsburgh. It's the summer, I'll give you that. But of course, when we got there, it was like actually breaking news headline that it was the highest and strongest heat wave that they had had in a very long time. They were wheeling people out of PNC Park as we were making our way in before the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to St. Louis and they're having an unprecedented wave of heat at the end of March. Although my dad is probably listening to this and being like, shh. But anyway, that was kind of my exciting news. I think I covered everything. Yeah. Okay, my goal is like, I want to be back with you next Sunday, but if nothing happens between now and then, I just don't think you want to come and watch me blab. I don't even want to hear myself blab. I mean, I do that all day. So anyway, also maybe I'll reach out to Elijah. Maybe we'll do something. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for sitting with me. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Things are about to really start going. So I'm getting eager and excited, and I have a bunch of ideas, but I just need to sit down and like actually plan for them. So if you'd like to contribute, if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about. Oh, before I go, I have a fan council meeting on Wednesday of this week with MLB. It's our first meeting of 2026. And actually, this is the first time we don't actually have a set, I said actually way too much right there. We don't have a set topic. We're going to more so kind of freestyle it, and it's going to be about the council and other things. Of course, I'm going to come in hot wondering what the heck is happening with the TV broadcasting situation. So hopefully I'll get more information on that. I'll probably tweet about it if I do. As I explained on my Facebook post recently today, those meetings with MLB are not to be recorded, and I can't share like slides and presentations they make, but they are considered on the record. So if I take good notes, I'm able to share them with you guys. So again, my goal is to kind of be more of a channel of what we talk about in there and then posting it online. A lot of my counterparts with the other teams do a good job of that. So I want to do a better job than what I was doing this upcoming season. So talk to MLB. If you have any questions for them going into this new season, let me know. I will be chatting with them on Wednesday and throughout the season, of course. But again, thank you for joining, and I hope you have a great week, and I hope to be back on Sunday with something exciting to talk about, but we'll see.